Dope. All right, cool. Hey guys, welcome to Not Really Therapy. Today we're joined with Devon. She's how do I describe Devon? She's one of my favorite posters on Facebook at this point. You rival Bonzal, which we're gonna have on soon. I gotta get Bonzal behind the computer, away from his kid for a little bit. Yeah, Bonzal's dope. So.
Is that how we're saying his name from now on?
Bonzal? Yeah. We just call him Bonzal. That's
Bonzal for all.
Bonzal for all. Exactly.
He goes for president. You guys win as
he would have the votes, man. The meme community would be all about it. Shit. Well, Devon, what do you want to talk about tonight?
I guess one thing I would love to open up with obviously would be the current events because they're huge. I guess one thing it has been affecting me. I'm sure you know from my posting. You've known me for a while. You've known my posts for a while. I speak out frequently about police brutality and things like that. And I don't know. I think what's happening right now is really wonderful. Like the rioting and stuff. I know people think of it as kind of weird or wrong or things like that, but honestly, I'm here for it. I think it's only going to get worse before it gets better.
We were just talking about that, the riots, because I was out in the living room and my dad was mentioning it, and of course, he's an old timer, so he's on the side of establishment, right? Which isn't a bad thing, riots. Rioting is not strategic protesting, which I will admit, but it is a lashing out of an event. It's a cause and effect type of thing. Like riots are going to happen when something
kind of lost
bad happens. Oh, are we still there?
Yeah, I can still hear you, Devon. Can you still hear us?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Oh, well, shit, we're losing her. You see, the riots, they're hitting us here at home, too.
Can you guys hear me at all?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us now? Hello.
I don't think she can do it.
Yeah, me neither.
You think it's a connection thing?
Maybe.
Yeah,
I'm gonna make her reconnect.
There we go.
Perfect.
Are we back on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yay!
Cool. Just had to make you reconnect.
So no, I can agree. I do think it is a strategic bit, like you were saying. I think before it cut out was that you understand it's more of like an outburst of outrage, and I think at this point it's kind of going to take that for anybody to listen, and they may not still, but it counts for something,
They might have to. Yeah, like what we were talking about, me and Zach, was they might have to one up it. Like a protest gets the message out, sure, but you gotta revolt if you want some true change, which should never be the first thing you do, obviously. But France has it down. Like how many times have France been in a revolution?
11,
or
12, 40, I don't know, shit.
Right, something happened, they don't like it. Their people go to town, like they say. They're not fucking about it. They're ready to fuck shit up, and we're over here, and we just kind of I don't know. I'm not about revolting, but if you want to make true change, you really do have to do that. And if anything should be changed, it's definitely our criminal system and the people that enforce it 100%.
One thing I like to always bring up when people say that, not all cops are bad. Like, I'm sure that you all know someone or have met a cop and you're like, oh, that cop was cool. He didn't give me a ticket, But I think it's going more into history. Like if you look at why they were created, they were created as slave catchers. So it's already built on a racist system, So you're looking at that and it's how can you if it was built on that, I feel like it can't really and hasn't really strayed far from those values, honestly.
I mean, that's heavy. Zach, what do you think?
Yeah, I know, and I see where you're coming from. I think at some point you always need keepers of the peace, no matter where you are, right? Because nowhere is utopian simply because of human nature, right? You're always going to have somebody that wants to gain up. I think a lot of our system, just like you said, is still ingrained with values that shouldn't be there, that have just traveled generation upon generation upon generation, right? And you have your bad apples, you have your good apples too. Don't get me wrong. You've got the guys that are out there solely just to do good, right? That are protecting their community, and then you have the dudes out there like Homeboy who are abusing power and feel like they have that control and feel like they have that higher authority, right? So it's a double edge for me, because I feel like at some point you still have to have keepers of the peace. You still have to have something there, maybe not at the extent and the use of force that they have today, but yeah, I'm right there.
I agree. I think that there should be, some force put together that, is there to actually protect and serve, but I don't know. I don't know anybody right now. Personally, I know that there's, some older people and things like that will try to ignore the issues, but I can say right now, when I think of police officers, I don't think of protecting and serving.
I mean, I'll speak for the majority of the minorities as an Asian guy myself, that no one hates a good cop. No one is against a good cop, right? Everyone can agree that they hate a bad cop. The African American community would say the same thing. Like, they're not against good cops, they're against bad cops, and it happens to be just a lot of fucking bad cops with bad training. Because I heard that for a long time they used to do this thing called fear training, and there's like a whole documentary about it, and a guy that heads it pretty much, and he goes into all these precincts and he's pretty much preaching to all these cops that they're warriors, they're born killers. You know what I mean? Like, everyone is out to get you. It's like, holy shit, dude. How would you want guys out there like that? Like,
right.
Because then you'll get an instance where, let's say, actually this happened. A white woman, right? A white middle-aged woman, fucking harmless in the eyes of your typical judgmental, I guess, cop, right? She calls, says, she's hearing some sounds right outside her yard. She's not sure what it is, if they can come check it out. A squadron car pulls up, and they end up shooting her. The woman that called them. They just end up shooting her. You're not even going to talk, you're not going to do anything.
Yeah.
What do you think she has other than a cell phone in her hand? I don't know. I get that it's a dangerous job and that there's a lot of crazy shit that happens, but maybe that means our criteria and our standards should be a little bit higher with the people that get those fucking jobs, right?
Absolutely. That is one thing I always say, is I refer to the police as civilians in uniform with a gun. They are not properly trained. They're just as scared as we are. To bring up another unfortunate shooting, and one that honestly impacted me because I unfortunately put myself through the agony of watching the entire live stream, was Philando Castile. That was really crazy to watch, because I've never seen an officer so scared. Like, honestly. And I'm not sure if you guys watched those videos, and I don't blame you if you didn't. That was really jarring to see a police officer be so scared. The way he was shouting, the tone of his voice, he was shaking with his gun in his hand. That to me shows that there needs to be a huge flip.
Dude, 99% of those officers that fire a weapon don't want to fire that weapon, right? I watched a really I'm gonna have to find the video now. A really good one where
pull that up, Jamie. Pull that up.
Yeah, pull it up, Jamie. Exactly. So the guy's in the car. He tells the officer that he's got a concealed carry permit. He reaches in his pocket for whatever, and the officer fires like 4 rounds for him. And I can't remember how it all ended, but you can hear the officer screaming "fuck, fuck, fuck, fuck" after he shot him, because he knows that he's about to be drugged through the media, whether he was wrong or not. Because I never saw the body cam footage. I don't think the body cam footage was ever released, but he just knows that he's about to be dragged through the dirt, whether he was right or not, whether it was justified or not, that use of force. So I can understand the scared and the nervousness when you're in that situation as your good apple, right? Your bad apple, fire away, right? Your good apple, I don't know, man. It's tough. It's a tough call, because you never know who's behind that trigger. You never know.
Right, absolutely.
On both sides.
Hard being
on both sides.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard being empathetic, because you want to be like, wow, that was fucked up, but like seeing an officer be like that, you're also like, wow, they're completely undertrained, and I mean, they shouldn't have been on the field. And yes, I think the biggest deal is taking a human life, but I think it just boils down to not being properly trained, and they're higher up sending them out knowing that maybe they're not the ones for the job, you know. It's just kind of it's jarring. It is scary to go out. I'm also a woman of color, and one thing I wanted to talk about was like the good cop bad cop thing. I have talked to like some of my like elders and things like that live on reservations, and things are pretty bad there. I can't say I've ever experienced it the way that they have, but they the way that they kind of view it is like, yeah, there's cops that are nice, but they aren't good because they still kind of sit back and watch the corruption happen and are still part of that, you know?
Yeah, I label those because people are saying that it's 4 cops that killed that man, that George Floyd, and when it was really the one guy had his knee on him, but you have 3 other cops just watching, and not only that, but it's a weird society that we live in where people are just videotaping now, where you can be having your neck between pavement and this officer not being able to breathe, crying out, and there's nothing anybody can do besides just watch and just be like, damn.
Yeah, but
like
so
at least document it. Yeah,
I see that though. I know why the people would document it rather than intervene though, because if you intervene, do you get shot? And, is his buddy standing across the street gonna fire a round into me because I went after him? You know what's about to happen to me?
But that's a scary world to live in, right? Where you know that no backup is coming up, because if any backup comes up, they're going to be exactly. You're going to have to have a Waco type situation in every single situation, and it's propagated that way. You know what I mean? In a sense, where it's like, no, okay, you just can't just don't do anything wrong, right? That could be easy enough if the fact that you weren't getting profiled 24/7. Like, how do you navigate that world? Like, I'm lucky, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just wide enough to pass, you know what I'm saying? I've never had to experience that shit, but I see it. I ain't blind. I got friends. I see it. That shit fucking sucks, and it's real.
Yeah, I mean, people will treat you differently, even if I consider myself also pretty racially ambiguous. I usually get, that I'm a Hispanic, which definitely I don't mind. Things like that, but
I'll take it. I'll take that one. I'll take that family.
Yeah, but I definitely don't. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. I definitely see a difference in how sometimes people will treat me compared to how they may treat some of their other white friends time to time. And maybe that's just me, but I've talked to my other, friends of color, and they say, sometimes they've experienced that, and it's a person to person thing, of course, but it's still pretty prevalent, and I think it's almost something that people don't realize they're doing.
No,
inadvertently, for sure.
Agreed. It's it's ingrained in our society. It's still fresh. It's not like it happened hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago. You know what I mean? That shit's still rocking and rolling today.
I saw this meme just now, where it's like Colin Kaepernick.
Pull it up, Jamie.
Taking a kneel, right? And it's like, which kneeling offends you more? And it has him and then the officer doing it. That fucking is wild. It's a wild meme. Like that don't hit home. I like literally.
Yeah, it's not even a meme at that point.
It's like, damn, dude. If you were reading that and you were someone that bitched at Colin Kaepernick for taking a kneel, like, I want to know, call in right now. Tell us how you feel. Yes.
Yeah. Like,
because you got to be feeling some type of way now. Like, come on.
And I mean, like, I still see the same people that were chastising him for taking a kneel. I still see those same people grasping at straws right now, saying things about, he's wrote fraudulent checks, or, I mean, just to go back to Ahmaud Arbery, like, he shoplifted from Walmart before and shit like that. And it's like, that's so irrelevant to the fact that they weren't doing anything and they got murdered,
Yeah, because what kind of precedents are you setting now? You're like, oh, okay, well, don't. I hope your kids don't freaking take some bubble gum from Walmart, because I guess that means a bunch of big old fat white dudes in a truck can just hunt them down in the streets.
Right? Yeah.
What? I mean, why are we making those kind of weird comparisons? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
The only way that something like that should ever be brought up is, wait, he wasn't robbing a store. He was running away from murdering 4 little boys or some shit like that. And then you're like, oh, okay, well, I guess that makes sense. Why they hunted him down.
I guess it's justified now.
Right, I guess that is a comparative kind of thing. I mean,
Like whenever they released that, like the video from inside of that house that was under construction that he was, looking at. I mean, you could say that, oh, he was casing the place, this, that, or other, but like that's out the fucking window. It doesn't matter. Like in my
Trespassing
opinion,
doesn't warrant use of lethal force.
well, I'm pretty
yeah,
sure.
I feel like any non-violent crime should not be met with like violent force,
No.
unless you're,
Yeah.
acting out and you're like, fuck this and, I'll hurt this person, whatever. But like, if you're being non-violent, there's no reason you should be met with force ever.
They have a whole system behind that too. It's like that's why they call certain things like petty larceny or whatever. Like at a certain point, at a certain number count, like under $500, it's like what, a misdemeanor, and then up to 1,000 or 2,000. It gets more severe the higher the money count is, because in reality, that's really what's hurting.
Absolutely. Exactly.
And even then, at the end of the day, if I could be wrong, but I could have swore that with that same video feed, the owner of the lot, or who was doing the construction there, came out and said that he wasn't robbed.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know. It's just so these guys just kind of like see this guy and just like, damn, dude, I think he's robbing and taking nails and 2x4s
robbing the place.
in this construction place.
Let's
like
shoot
fucking
him.
$15 worth of shit, dude. Yo, Bobby, get over here, son. Let's go get this guy. Like, what?
That's crazy. It's like, if they had saw, a white man doing that, I honestly don't think that they would have had the same reaction.
Offered him some help is what they would have
Yeah.
done. They would have been like, oh, hey, sir, you need some help carrying that over to the, we don't need any other information. Yeah, let's help you out there. That's what would have happened. That's the difference. That's what's fucked up.
And I don't know, for like all of these things to come out, and it was so crazy, one thing I do want to talk about is the Amy Cooper situation, because I did post something, I talked about something about how, white people sometimes will act like they don't know what's going on, and then situations like that arise, and it's like, she knew what she was doing when she, picked up the phone and said, an African American man is threatening my life, when all he was asking was for her to leash her dog, which was the law. So that's crazy to me. That's one thing I definitely want to talk about.
Yeah, that is...
I don't know if you guys have experienced that before, but like I've had, white women in particular, be really pressed with me over things like weed and stuff like that, and try to accuse me of things that I definitely wasn't a part of, but it's just easier to pin it on the person that's kind of different,
Like if anything is sketchy, lob it to whatever person hits a racial chord first.
Yeah, where it could
lay out the race chart. Let's see. Anything darker than this is the cause of all these things. Throw weed in there. Throw whatever.
He broke in and hung up pictures of his family.
Yeah. That whole thing. And that woman, like I remember watching that trial, and she's like crying, and she says, I just can't, I can't believe I did that. It's like, no shit, lady, we can't either. Like, how are you gonna go into the wrong apartment and shoot a man without even saying, like, dude, the color scheme is different, homie. Where are you? What the fuck? It's not even a good excuse. You should have said you were should have just been like, I was drunk. That would have been way more believable than anything else.
And that's one thing though that's been happening a lot is, and I know you guys have seen the coverage too, where they'll go in some place to search someone, or it's an unlawful search, and someone, usually a person of color, ends up losing their life by being at home. Like, they're not even safe being at home.
Oh yeah, there's this whole movement where, some old person will just like kind of look out their window, and they'll see like someone of color on a bike or something, and then not even think, and just instantly call the police and be like, yo, I'm seeing this sketchy, scary character out front riding a bike. It's like, yes, Miss Larry, you've called us about 100 times now. They are your next door fucking neighbors. Dude, chill. But that happens, dude. Like, all these people are getting called on, and they live in the neighborhood. It's like, dude, I've lived here. I've been here for years. What is happening?
Like, we've talked to each other.
Yeah, dude. Like, what is happening? Like, there's no way.
It
More
blows
white
my
people
mind.
look alike than black people. I'm just saying it. Even more than Asians. People think all our Asians look alike. Man, we might have the same hair color and hairdo, but that's about it. And the eyes, you know what? Actually, Asian people are the most look-alike people. And then white.
Oh
Okay.
my
But all those before blacks, I'm just saying.
No, people say stuff like that, and that's definitely, not true. And I guess what is really crazy to me about the whole thing is just kind of she had said something. The Amy Cooper woman had said something in her, statement like, "I'm so sorry," and then she ended it up with, I have the luxury of viewing the police as like, a protection service, as like they'll rush in and save me, and not everybody has that luxury. And it's just kind of like, I guess, I don't know, like, to me, to the duality of like how a person of color can view them, and then like, a white person can view them. It's just so crazy to me because I can't really wrap my head around like thinking that I could have them rush in on something petty like a man asking me to leash my dog.
I'm looking at it right now, and it says that, man, they got over 5 million views of this video. That's what?
I do love the swift justice of her. She ended up losing her job, and then I know that she voluntarily surrendered her dog back to the shelter and things like that. But I like that it happened the next day. But it was also unfortunate that while that was happening, George Floyd was also being murdered by a police officer.
Yeah, the internet's a wild place. Information travels so fast. So all the information, not just little bits and pieces, every bit of it travels now.
Yeah.
That's what's fucking with all these old traditional type families. It's because, and that's why we keep getting them, and they don't understand. It's like, dude, the internet is one world consciousness. The internet is a way for us to get any and everything at any time. You just have to shrivel through.
You just gotta hashtag it right, man.
Right.
Honestly,
you gotta check and cite your work, but it's all there. It might be a lot of bullshit, but once you get rid of all that shit, you still have the truth there, and we can all see it. It's like before they never had that. Before all these guys were able to go anonymous, doing all this sketchy little shit. But now we have videos. We can pull up our cell phone, which is pretty much a cybernetic enhancement to humans now. No one leaves it anywhere, right? Like, you take it with you everywhere, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, you can simply do now what you couldn't do 30 years ago as a detective, and that's literally see through somebody else's eyes through cell phone video. That's something you couldn't do before. You can see through somebody else's eyes at this point.
And that I think we need to understand is that it's not that all this crime is ramping up recently. It's just that
you're just seeing more of it.
We're able to reveal it more now.
Yes.
It was always there.
It was always there. That's something me and you have always agreed on, is that it's always been there. It's just that social media and the internet has made it so much more prevalent, and we can put it in your face, and people can see it, and people are on it every day. So if you can hit the people where they're at the most, you'll put it in their face. And that didn't happen when you can cover it up because your local newspaper says, "No, fuck it, I'm not running the story." No.
Right.
Did you hear that about how Trump is trying to sign an executive order on social media platforms?
I was just looking at it.
That is
He
fucking
did.
crazy.
It has to go, it's never gonna happen. I saw where it's like it would have to go through Congress, and then obviously there would be like so many legal loops. But I mean, is it not?
He can write an executive. He can do an executive order, and it bypasses all that shit, right? I mean,
yeah, but you can't fuck with private sector like that though, without involving Congress. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just crazy that it was literally the day after, Twitter fact checked him, but before he was all about that.
Yeah, he can sign the executive order, but somebody's got to run the committee and all the shit that's attached to the executive order.
You know why? It's because everyone keeps fact checking his ass, and he's like, okay, you know what? I'm getting tired of this shit. You know what? Everyone thinks they know stuff. Well, I'm gonna take it all away.
These fact checks are huge. They're huge.
Well, what was really crazy to me also was he wanted to be outraged about being fact checked, and I don't think he said one single word on the Amy Cooper situation or the George Floyd situation or the Minneapolis situation. I haven't really been following it the past couple of days as far as Trump news has been going, but I don't think he said anything at all.
I mean, it's at this point strategy. I mean, he has so much of his own
It-
bullshit going
oh,
on.
at
The
this
moment he
point,
opens up his
yeah.
mouth.
If he said anything about either situation at this point, I feel like it would just be media death anyway. Why even talk when you're just gonna be skewered? You know what I mean?
He's too busy. They're too busy gambling with everyone's lives right now over COVID and the stimulus.
Right.
And that whole I've been digging deep into that whole thing, and you know that we're all getting more stimulus. I'll put that out there right now. Like, if not, I might owe someone $5, but I'm like, with everything coming out, with the elections coming up. I mean, you got elections coming up. You got both sides asking for stimulus. It's really going to come down to how long can they milk it up until voting day, and then they're going to be like, oh, by the way, remember, the Republicans are the ones that gave you all of this, and or the Democrats gave you all of this, and now you're going to be voting on it. After X amount of people have already died. It's like, holy shit, dude, we're in an alternate timeline.
We're in like turbo capitalism right now, honestly.
You never seen Community? This is the darkest timeline. Like, this is.
Oh my god, I love that show. But yeah,
we are in the darkest timeline right now.
Just evil versions, honestly.
Might as well be. It's rough.
Yeah, I got fucking Trump or a pedophile to run the country. I just don't know which to pick.
I know, right? Like, who am I gonna pick? Like, oh god.
Speaking of which, on top of that, did you see that article come out today about Santa Rosa cops here? I was just making a joke about how all of them are like pedos, right? And of course, I don't mean every single one of them, but a good majority. And this freaking article comes out talking about how this officer is like peeing on a bunch of juveniles. I'm like, what the fuck, bro?
They had a post a couple years ago too. I mean, you got those people that are in power. Either started prior to that and are using the power to get what they want, or B, ate the power up and started. It's crazy what that shit does to your head, man. And I learned a lot about grooming. I watched a lot of shit just because we dealt with some people around us, so I learned to understand what those people do, and it's wild, man. It's crazy the extent that these people will go to, not just cops. I mean, just these predators in general. It's fucking nuts, dude. Like, the psychology.
We're on this subject. I guess I kind of want to talk about how normalized grooming is, because I mean, talking about all this, I grew up here in Atlanta. I only lived in Florida for 5 years, and I was an adult. But growing up here in Atlanta, me and all of my friends, I mean, we all dated guys that were, I mean, I was 14, 15 dating guys that were 20, 21, 22, 23, picking me up from high school. And like, I look back now, and of course, that's cringe, that's crazy. But like, that kind of grooming is very normalized in society. I don't know if you guys agree or if you've seen it or
I agree. Like I don't know if you guys have good old Netflix. I'm sure everybody does at this point. They just released a Jeffrey Epstein documentary.
I watched some of that, yes.
And so did we, and it was really. I think we watched like the first 2 episodes. There's like 5 or 6, I think. We watched the first 2, and they were really, really good. And a lot of it was about grooming, and we had just talked about it prior to how these people are able to manipulate these kids so well.
Yeah, I mean, you get them young, you get the parents' permission, and then you throw in money, and holy shit.
Like,
it's a brainwashing cocktail.
What was the other doc? There was another one on Netflix. There's a bunch of memes that came from it because the dude jerked off his best friend or whatever in the car. I can't remember.
He doesn't jerk off the best friend in the car.
Oh, God, I forgot what that was called, but that guy...
Does. Yeah, he does too, because he's the whole thing. Oh, it's just being a good friend. Like, were you being a good friend?
I would consider that being a good friend. Hold on now.
No, then I'm not gonna be a good friend, Dylan.
Wait, is there an age difference in these two guys?
Oh no, they were both those 2 men. They were grown men. It was like their neighbor that was like grooming their small child. Was also had a relationship. He also had like a side relationship with the mother, and also did like things with the father as well.
Yeah, that's weird, man. That makes me think that it's the parents ultimately that are fucking this shit up for these kids.
Well, yeah, they fucked up. But if you watch this, like, the parents were just fucking stupid. Like, there's no other word. But like, you're an idiot, because you could tell like they just did not know what the fuck was going on.
Well, like that one family that, like, what was that documentary? Are you talking about the same documentary? The guy, like, abuses the woman like several times throughout the years, and it's like their next neighbor.
Like over and over and over, like spends the night at the house and takes through all the camping trips. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Didn't he end up like low-key kidnapping her for like a few months, and the mom just like let it slide?
Yeah,
they're like,
he ended up brainwashing this girl that she wanted to stay with him. It was nuts.
Yeah. All I know is after all this shit, our kids, like our generation of kids, they have to come out better, right? I mean,
oh yeah.
I mean, like there's gonna be some type of a change in how we process all this information and relay it to the next generation, right? I mean, you would have to think this would be the tipping point. Is what they call like the crystal children, the indigo children.
Yeah,
the ones with the internet, and the access to talk to each other and swift through all the bullshit.
I honestly, that's all I can hope for, because I know that like millennials, we kind of got like the shit end of the stick because we were kind of raised by like the boomers that were still kind of like mind fucked, And not to say that anybody has any bad parents. My parents are fantastic, but their lines of thinking definitely are much different than maybe mine are.
Yeah, it's gonna be on our generation. You know what I mean? I don't think it's generation Y or X. What generation are we? Fuck, I don't know. But it's definitely gonna be up to ours and going forward to make the big changes, and not just to be like left or right, but forward, right? Like Yang says, he says, I'm not left, I'm not right, I'm forward. That resonated with me. I'm like, that's what our generation has to do. We just have to move forward and ignore all the left-right bullshit.
I agree with that. I do think I get pegged as a liberal a lot, and I don't feel like that. I know I align with other liberals' views and things like that, but as far as left and right and all that goes, I feel like it's kind of pedantic at this point.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm left, right, forward, backwards at this point, because I line up with a little bit of everything. I'm like, hey, no, I kind of like that, but I kind of like that too. But why can't you like this and that, motherfucker? Why do you have to like this?
See, that would be, in my opinion, that would be forward. That's because if you choose. And nowadays, on the political field, if you say you're right or left, all of a sudden it's an extreme left, it's an extreme right. It means you can't like one little thing on the other side and still be upholding your side's principles, which is fucking bullshit, dude.
Because I like my guns, but like I like people to get decent medical care too.
Yeah.
So why can't I like both of those?
You can have the best of both worlds. Like, why would you not want that for yourself? Why would you limit to yourself to just a? It's weird. It's a weird concept.
No, I agree. If anything, I'd say I align with communism quite a bit. I do think it is kind of a far-fetched idea, just because kind of going back to our racial talks, like there's just not enough like sense of community. The revolution is going to have to be huge for something like that to happen. But as far as anything that could ever be like, communism slash socialism, anything like that, we're going to need a stronger sense of community.
People are just too inherently greedy, and I agree with you. People are too inherently greedy, and that's at an instinctual level, though. That's something that you can't help because you want to survive. Right. You at the end of the day, at the end of it, if there's two of you left and it's between me and you getting to that food at the end of the tunnel, I'm going to do everything in my power to stop you so that I can eat and survive. And that's at an instinctual level, not that I'm making that decision, but when you're that hungry, that at that point, your body and yourself, you're going to do what you need to do to survive. Unless it's of your flesh and blood, then you might change that obstacle. But I think if it's a rando, you fucking do what you have to do.
Yeah, base instinct's gonna kick in. I absolutely agree. Fuck yeah.
I actually watched a movie. You brought up Netflix. I think it's on Netflix. I think it's called The Cube. And it's basically about these people who get locked up in this like tall tower, and starting at the very top of the tower is like rich people living decadent lives, and so there's this cube that follows down the whole tower, and it's got all this food on it, and basically it just goes down, thousands of flights of people, and you get to the bottom and there's no food left, and it was basically people were killing each other and eating each other, and it was kind of showing what you were just saying there, Zach. Like, human nature is going to take over, and we're going to be
The platform. I watched that. That's a
That's
dope
what
ass
it
movie.
is. Yeah, the
Yeah.
platform. Yeah.
It's like a
Was it good?
symbolic representation of like class warfare.
I didn't watch it. We haven't watched it. We've been talking about it, but we just haven't taken the time. And I
good.
keep hearing that I've heard mixed reviews. So you thought it was
Yeah,
pretty good?
don't be afraid of those subtitles, man.
No,
Open your heart. Open your heart to the subtitles. Yeah,
I love subtitles.
another good movie that a lot of people shied away from, that won like all the awards at the Golden Globes. Golden Globes. Everyone was like, "What the fuck?" It was Parasite, that South Korean film.
Yeah, Parasite's good. Parasite's
Jung
good.
Kwon Ho, I think, is like the director or whatever. But he made Train to Busan, which is a good zombie film.
Yeah. Very
And
good.
yeah, Parasite is amazing kind of class warfare film, where it's just like it says in the title. It's like this family kind of leeches on to this rich family and gets themselves all jobs employed by them. Pretty much, their whole family's basically employed by this rich family. I don't know. The whole movie is amazing, and it's
I
like,
haven't got to watch it. I know it's on Hulu, so I plan to.
do it. Do yourself a treat. Watch
That's on
Parasite.
Hulu. I need to go check it. I've watched it before. I need to go watch it again. I didn't know it was on Hulu. I love Hulu.
Speaking of Parasite, I've been watching the anime Parasite. I know you're talking about subtitles, but I am not a huge anime fan. This show is so good. I don't know if you guys like it or have seen it. It's amazing. You should totally watch it.
I've seen the first several episodes because it just now came out on Netflix.
Yeah.
So did Doro. I think that just came out today, and that's like a big anticipated manga that just got turned into an anime, and that one's really dope.
I've just been
It's
watching
weird.
a lot of Gundam, just because I like Gundam. So.
Well, you have like 10 years worth of Gundam content to watch.
There's
so.
way more. There's way more. It's ridiculous how many episodes there are.
The unicorn one is pretty dope.
Unicorn was super. I like Unicorn dope because it's before the Zion Wars and shit. It's pretty dope. I don't know. And then you have like Neon Genesis Evangelion. If you ever want years and 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 years of shows to watch, Evangelion goes on for fucking ever.
Man, it don't go on that fucking long. Holy
Yeah, it
shit!
does. Yeah, it does.
It's a long show, but it ain't.
It's a long
'cause
one.
They have a lot of alternate versions. I'll give you
Yeah,
that.
they have a lot of alternates, and there's a ton of like fan built ones too. It's wild.
Yeah.
See, stuff like that I always get turned off from like getting into, only because it's like so much content. I'm like, where am I gonna find the time?
Yeah, anything past 12 seasons is too much. It's too much.
I am
I'm gonna do that
excited.
when I'm like dying and I can't move and shit.
I am excited for Space Force. That's gonna be on Netflix tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I
Steve
just-
Carell.
Yes.
I watched
Everyone
The
thinks it's a
Office
joke.
pretty much always.
It's a logical next step, though. I mean, it's only a joke because Trump said it, but think about it. We're gonna have to go
Yeah.
into space eventually. Come on, guys.
Look, bro.
Like, we can't
If
stay here
you
forever.
would have named it anything but Space Force, I think I would have fucking taken it seriously.
What would you have called it? I don't know. Space Force pretty generic.
I would have
Air
given it
Force,
like
Space Force.
I would have given it like a
sounds like a
4-letter
movie
acronym.
title.
Yeah, like a 4-letter acronym.
Oh,
in the
no,
United
we'll change.
States, the USSF, something. You know.
Space, like the Space Command. He should have taken
Force.
something from
Well,
like Halo.
they
You
already
know,
have
like
Space
UNC,
Space
United
Command is-
Nations Space Command.
No, well, Space Command is part of the Air Force, so there's already a Space Command. They actually-
Wow. So
wow.
sign a piece of paper and split it up.
Yeah, they well, they just started it again, and they some 4-star general took over. I can't remember his name. I watched the induction ceremony, but he took on Space Command for the Air Force.
Yeah, the first people that join Space Force and like actually go up there and shit.
I'm
after
here to kill the
X
bugs,
amount of
sir.
years-
I'm here to kill the
Yeah.
bugs.
Yeah, they're gonna be the most fucked people. They're gonna be like the first iPods. You know what I mean? And if you know anything about the first of anything, it's that it fucking sucks.
Yeah, Mars
gonna-
is talking what? Mars 2024 right now?
Right.
Crazy.
I don't want to be the first guy on Mars. I want to be on Mars, but
No,
after
because
like
I want to be able to
eighth
come the fuck
generation,
back. What?
Elon Musk is gonna take us there.
Like,
man.
yo,
He's gonna-
here's your one-way ticket. Sorry, bitch.
You better make it. You better make something of yourself up there.
For real, don't fuck this up.
No,
It's
yeah.
like being born again, and maybe that's how we got here, guys.
Their launch today for Crew Dragon got delayed until Saturday, unfortunately. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
the first manned flight inside of the Dragon capsule to the ISS.
It's the first manned flight in like a decade for anybody to
From
even
the
go up in
US.
space in America. That is.
Well, no, well, not our
Wow.
astronauts, but our launching from the U.S. We haven't launched a rocket. We've been paying the Russians to the tune of like $80 million every time we send an astronaut up.
That's crazy too.
Yeah.
So speaking of all this space stuff, did you guys see anything about the them finding the alternate reality? I actually was one of those people the memes are about where it's like I kind of just brushed past it, and I am curious.
Yeah, they found so NASA apparently found evidence, and if you know, and everybody who's ever taken like shrooms or acid will tell you that they've known this forever. But anyways, NASA started getting readings, and it was showing signs of a parallel or an alternate dimension where time flows backwards, is what they were saying. And I'm not sure exactly how they read like time reversal in a different dimension, right? That's a question in itself, right? Like, how do they even have the tools to be able to
Imagine that
detect?
being your fucking job.
It'd be insane. I don't know what the ramifications of that means, though. Like, oh wow, we found an alternate dimension where time flows backwards. It's like, cool. Now what? What do we do with that? That information, like, what does that mean? Anything for our existence? Are we going to be able to tap into parallel universes? Is this going to be the one with Jet Li where we all just go and kill ourselves to become strong?
I'm wondering if this is like, to me, I mean, is this going to be like something that, you know, if it grows bigger and they research it more, like, would it be something that they could be able to use to like dispel religion?
This is crazy. So, now a heavier part coming up out of the Earth in 2016, which means these particles are traveling back in time and could be evidence of a parallel universe. So what they found, they sent this balloon up above Antarctica, right, so that it couldn't be disturbed by other radio signals. And then when they brought it back down, particles that they expected to be traveling from the sun to the Earth were traveling from the Earth to the sun. They were like, "Fuck, they're going back in time." That's how I'm. That's the explain like I'm 5 I'm getting from this article.
I'm actually kind of looking at it myself. That's
Like, hey, these shouldn't be coming from here. So, fucking time travel, guys. I like these scientists.
what is it called? I think the Mandela effect. What do you guys think about that?
It's a trick on the brain. That's what it
The one
is. The Mandela
that sent
effect.
the one that sent me was the one about Looney Tunes and like how it used to spell. But I remember I saw that and I was like smoking with my boyfriend and I was just like, whoa, like this is too much. You have
Yeah. There's a lot of them. The Berenstain Bears was the first one I heard of, and of course Mandela, who everyone thought died in prison. But I mean, it's a weird concept. So all it really, like, what is it really? It's just people remembering things slightly different, and it's like small stuff. Like, now if you tell me some big shit, like if you tell me that George Clinton, right, or was black, okay,
Yeah.
and everyone remembered him black, and I still see him in my head as white, that would convince me that we're in different timelines and shit. But like letters misspelled, I don't know. You gotta give me a big
Come
old
here, hill dog.
hill dog. Yeah.
That's DAWG.
It's like, holy shit, man.
Right.
Oh my
At the end of the day, you never know. Maybe I'm just a bad speller, and now I'm making everybody think that it's spelled a certain way, but I just can't spell in the first place, and I managed to convince a bunch of people. I mean, that's religion, really, if we want to get deep into it.
Oh man, yeah. Honestly,
Ooh.
like
Brain explodes.
these are thoughts that I have often, but I usually cut them off because I'm like, no, we're not going there.
We're just not gonna go down this road today. Not worth it. I got shit to do.
I'll schedule this emotion for later.
Yeah, hopefully we eventually break this podcast into where it's like it's where you go to unfilter everything, and then and then we probably get shut down for a while.
And then we come
be
back
a
with a
bit
new
too
name.
saucy. Exactly. We do it like
Really
every
Not
other
therapy.
Yeah, rebrand. Rebrand it.
Hey.
Who was on your show last week? I really didn't get a shot to take a look yet.
John Cronin. He went to high school with me and and
Oh,
Dylan.
you were talking about.
Yeah. He's a comedian out in Arkansas, I think is what. Yeah, he's in Little Rock. He's in Little Rock, and he's in like broadcast journalism and stuff. So he's a pretty good dude. He's pretty funny. We had a really good time with him last week, and hopefully we can get him back on for some more time.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
he was a popular dude too in high school. He was always the funny guy, and he's actually done a lot of impressive shit too recently. He's doing stand up. He's worked on like the Pensacola News station.
Oh no.
I think he's married now, and he has
that
a kid.
we're talking about. He's like, yes, I can hear it. I can hear it.
Yeah, he's gonna be hell yeah to get that shout out. How's our time looking at right now, Zach?
We're like 46, so we'll go ahead and wrap it up because we're at a good drive, a good commute. So I think we've touched everything. Devin, unless you have something else you want to hit on, do it.
No, I mean, I definitely do want to say I am more than willing to come back on anytime soon. I have tons of stuff we could probably go into other than this,
Oh yeah, definitely. We need all the people we can get, so we'll schedule another one for sure. Cool. Well, then I'll go ahead and wrap this one up. Dylan, you got anything else for us tonight, bro?
I do not. I'm kind of jittery over all the coffee, so
I'll have another cup. That'll calm me down.
Yeah.
All right, Warzone after this.
Warzone. Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, all right, cool. All right, guys. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, Devin. Thanks for coming on.
Of course, y'all have a good night.
Thanks.
Yeah.